Captain Stone stood at the command center of the Federation's flagship, Starseeker, his powerful claws tapping nervously on the metal console. His thick fur bristled as he studied the readings from the strange planet before them. The sensors must be malfunctioning. No civilized species could survive in such conditions. "Run the scan again," he ordered his science officer, Brown, whose bear-like features showed equal confusion. The massive alien's paws moved carefully over the delicate instruments, designed to accommodate the natural weapons their species had evolved with. The results came back the same. This blue-green world, designated as Sol 3, had gravity 30% stronger than Federation standard. Its atmosphere was rich with corrosive oxygen, and its surface temperature swung wildly between freezing and boiling. By all measures, it was a death world, a planet too hostile to support intelligent life. Yet there they were: radio signals, television broadcasts, satellite networks, and strangest of all, space stations orbiting this killer planet. "Sir," Brown's deep voice rumbled, "I'm detecting artificial structures on even harsher worlds in this system. There's a research base on their moon, mining operations on a planet with twice this gravity, and settlements on a red planet with almost no atmosphere." Stone's tail swished in agitation. In all their years of space exploration, the Federation had never encountered anything like this. Their own species were the galaxy's apex predators, evolved on the most challenging worlds their scientists had discovered. Yet even they needed protective suits to survive on worlds like this. "Incoming transmission," the communication officer announced. Her feline ears twitched forward with interest. "It's coming from one of their orbital stations." "Put it through," Stone ordered, straightening his massive frame to its full 3-meter height. The view screen flickered to life, and the bridge crew fell silent. The being on the screen was tiny, pink-skinned, and completely furless except for a patch on top of its head. It had no claws, no visible natural weapons, and looked almost fragile compared to the Federation crew. Yet it stood there in what seemed to be a thin fabric uniform, speaking calmly in an atmosphere that should have been lethal. "This is Commander Walker of the Human Space Force. Welcome to Earth space. We've been monitoring your approach and are pleased to make first contact. I hope our atmospheric composition hasn't caused your ship any concerns." Stone exchanged glances with his crew. The humans spoke as if their deadly environment was perfectly normal. "This is Captain Stone of the Federation Starseeker. Your atmosphere is quite unique. Our sensors indicate conditions that we consider extremely hazardous." Walker smiled, showing flat teeth that clearly belonged to a prey species. "Yes, we've noticed most visitors find Earth a bit challenging. Would you prefer to dock with our station? We can provide a more comfortable environment for our meeting." "More comfortable?" Stone's science officer was already shaking his head in disbelief at the readings from the space station. Its internal atmosphere was nearly identical to the death world below. "Perhaps," Stone said carefully, "we could arrange a meeting on our vessel. We can adjust our environmental controls to something less extreme." Walker's expression showed understanding. "Actually, Captain, our research shows your ship's current atmosphere would be fatal to humans. Too little oxygen, among other things. But don't worry, we're quite used to dealing with these situations. Our first contact team has excellent environmental suits." The implications slowly sank in. These humans didn't just survive on their death world. They had evolved there. What the Federation considered an extreme hostile environment was their natural habitat. And somehow, despite being obviously prey animals with no natural defenses, they had become a spacefaring civilization. As Stone gave orders to prepare for the human delegation's arrival, he couldn't shake the feeling that the Federation's understanding of galactic civilization was about to change dramatically. They had always assumed that apex predators would naturally dominate the stars. Yet here was a species that had conquered not just one death world, but several without the advantages of claws, fangs, or powerful muscles. The real question was, what other surprises were these humans hiding? Dr. Reed's laboratory aboard the Starseeker was usually a place of calm and order. Today, it was filled with excited growls and frustrated huffs as the Federation's top scientist tried to make sense of the human medical data. "Impossible," he muttered, his wolf-like snout twitching as he studied the screens. His assistant, Jones, looked up from her own work, her spotted fur rippling with curiosity. "What's impossible, Doctor?" Reed gestured at the display with a clawed hand. "These humans, their bones should shatter under their own planet's gravity. Instead, they're actually denser than ours. Their muscles are weaker than any adult Federation species, yet they can perform sustained labor that would exhaust our strongest workers." The medical bay's door slid open, and Dr. Gray from the human delegation walked in. Both Federation scientists still found it strange to see such a small, defenseless-looking creature moving so confidently through their ship. "Having trouble with our medical records?" Gray asked, smiling at their obvious confusion. Reed nodded, his ears flattening slightly in embarrassment. "Your species makes no sense. You have no claws, no fangs, poor night vision, and weak muscles. By all our understanding, you should be prey animals hiding in burrows, not exploring space." Gray walked over to the displays, seemingly unbothered by being in a room with two large predatory aliens. "That's because you're looking at us wrong. We didn't survive by being the strongest. We survived by being the most adaptable." Jones leaned forward, her tail swishing with interest. "But your worlds, even your colonies, they're all what we classify as death worlds. The gravity, the temperatures, the atmospheric poisons." "Exactly," Gray said, pulling up more data on the screen. "Look at this. When humans first visited your normal worlds, we had trouble moving. Everything felt too light, too easy. Our children born on colonies with higher gravity than Earth grow even stronger than standard humans. We don't just survive in harsh conditions, we thrive in them." Reed studied the new data with growing amazement. "Your immune system, it's incredibly aggressive. It attacks everything." "It has to be," Gray explained. "Earth has millions of different viruses and bacteria. We evolved to fight them all. That's why we need special clearance to visit most Federation worlds. Our immune systems are so strong they can harm your normal bacteria." A message flashed on the main screen. More data from the human colonies was coming in. Reed's eyes widened as he read the reports. Humans were mining in acid storms on Venus, farming in radiation-soaked fields on Mars, and building cities in the crushing gravity of massive planets. "But how?" Jones asked. "Without natural weapons or defenses." "We built them," Gray said simply. "When we needed claws, we made tools. When we needed to see in the dark, we invented lights. When we needed to fly, we built machines. Everything that other species got from evolution, we had to earn through innovation." Reed sat back, his scientific mind racing with the implications. "You're saying that being weak made you strong." "We were never weak," Gray corrected gently. "We just had different strengths. Your peoples evolved powerful bodies and natural weapons. We evolved adaptable minds and bodies that could survive anywhere. Every time nature presented us with a death world, we saw it as a challenge to overcome." The laboratory fell quiet as the Federation scientists processed this information. Their entire understanding of species development had been based on the idea that natural weapons and physical power determined success. Yet here was a species that had taken a completely different path. "Dr. Reed," Jones said slowly, "I think we need to update the Federation's classification system. These humans, they're not just surviving on death worlds. They're turning death worlds into homes." Reed nodded, looking at Gray with new respect. The small, clawless human suddenly seemed much less defenseless. After all, what good were natural weapons against a species that could reshape entire planets to suit their needs? "I believe," Reed said, "this is just the beginning of what we can learn from each other." Commander Walker stood before the Federation Council, trying not to smile at the large screen behind him. The video playing showed a human rock climber scaling the sheer cliff without any powered equipment. The assembled alien counselors were making sounds of distress, their various predatory features, from fur to scales, bristling with alarm. "And this is entertainment?" asked Council Leader White, his massive bear-like frame leaning forward in his reinforced chair. "Not survival training. Just a hobby," Walker explained. "Rock climbing is quite popular back on Earth, though this is just the beginner stuff. Would you like to see some extreme climbing videos?" "Beginner," squeaked a feline counselor, her tail puffing up. "They're hanging by their fingers over certain death." Walker changed the video. Now it showed deep-sea divers swimming with enormous ocean predators. The council chamber erupted in concerned growls and hisses. "These humans," White said, "are swimming with apex predators of their world. For fun." "Oh yes," Walker nodded. "Great white sharks are fascinating creatures. Though personally, I prefer cage diving with saltwater crocodiles. It's more exciting." The council members exchanged worried looks. Their own species were considered the galaxy's ultimate predators, yet these humans treated similar creatures from their world as entertainment. The next video showed wingsuit flyers leaping from mountains. Several counselors had to look away. "As you can see," Walker continued, "humans enjoy testing themselves against our world's challenges. It helps us stay sharp, plus it's just fun." "Fun," rumbled White. "You call throwing yourself off a mountain fun?" A new figure entered the chamber, Captain Stone from the Starseeker. He had spent the most time studying humans since first contact, and the council turned to him for explanation. "Honorable Council," Stone said, "I believe I understand now. Humans evolved as persistence predators. They didn't have our natural weapons, so they learned to overcome challenges through endurance and intelligence. These sports keep those instincts sharp." Walker nodded. "Exactly. Though honestly, most of us just do it for the thrill. There's nothing quite like surfing a 50-foot wave or climbing an ice wall." The video changed again, showing humans in primitive cloth suits swimming under ice sheets. White's massive paw pressed against his command panel. "Commander Walker," he said slowly, "our records show that your species cannot survive in freezing water. Yet these humans are deliberately swimming in it." "Oh, that's the Polar Bear Club," Walker explained cheerfully. "Winter swimming is great for the immune system, though if you want real cold, you should see our bases in Antarctica. Now that's chilly." The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. These humans didn't just survive hostile environments. They actively sought them out for entertainment. Their idea of fun was more extreme than most Federation training programs. "There's more," Stone added. "Human children often start these activities young. They have something called playground equipment, which trains their young to handle heights, calculate risks, and overcome physical challenges." "You mean," White's voice was barely a whisper, "you deliberately let your cubs, your children, take risks? How else will they learn their limits?" Walker asked, genuinely puzzled. "Better to fall from a small height as a child than a big height as an adult." The council members looked at each other, a new understanding dawning in their eyes. They had thought humans were fragile because they lacked natural weapons, but perhaps having to earn every survival skill, having to actively choose to face dangers rather than being born ready for them, had made humans far more formidable than any natural weapons could. "Commander Walker," White said finally, "I believe we need to seriously reconsider our definition of what makes a species dangerous. Perhaps lacking natural weapons simply means having to become something far more impressive." Walker smiled. "Would you like to see our space sports next? Wait until you see zero-gravity parkour." The collective groan from the council suggested that perhaps some cultural exchanges were best taken slowly. The emergency alarms blared through the Federation's Central Hospital on New Pride, their urgent sound mixing with the pained growls of the sick. Dr. Gray rushed through the corridors, her small human frame darting between the much larger alien medical beds. "Patient's fever is rising," called out a feline nurse, her fur matted with sweat as she tried to help a massive bear-like Federation citizen who was thrashing in pain. "Start the ice protocol," Gray ordered, checking the medical readouts. The virus was spreading faster than anyone had expected. Even the Federation's strongest species, with their advanced immune systems, were falling victim to it. In the command center, Captain Stone watched the reports coming in from across Federation space. His own powerful hands shook as he read the numbers. 50 worlds infected, millions sick. Their best medical minds were failing to stop it. "Sir," his aide said quietly, "the human medical teams are requesting permission to attempt their treatment protocol." Stone looked at the screen showing Dr. Gray's team. The humans moved confidently through wards of sick predators, each one capable of tearing them apart with a single swipe. Yet they showed no fear. "Permission granted," Stone said. "At this point, we have nothing to lose." In the research lab, Dr. Reed worked alongside the human medical teams, his wolf-like features showing exhaustion. "I don't understand," he said to Gray. "How are you all immune to this?" Gray didn't look up from her microscope. "We're not immune. Our bodies are just used to fighting off multiple threats at once. Earth has millions of viruses and bacteria. Our immune systems had to become aggressive to survive." "But the virus," Reed started, "is strong, yes." Gray nodded. "But our bodies have fought worse. Earth's diseases are like being attacked by a pack of wolves. This virus is just one big bear, dangerous, but our immune systems know how to handle single threats." The treatment protocol was surprisingly simple. The humans had modified their own antibodies to work in Federation bodies. Instead of trying to create a new cure, they were teaching the Federation citizens' bodies how to fight back using human defensive techniques. In the intensive care unit, Walker had arrived to help coordinate the human medical response. He watched as Gray injected the modified antibodies into a sick council member. "Will it work?" he asked quietly. "It's already working," Gray replied, pointing to the medical readouts. "Their bodies are learning. The virus is strong, but it's never faced an immune response like this before." Days turned into weeks. Slowly, the tide began to turn. Federation citizens began to recover, their bodies now carrying a piece of human medical knowledge within them. The death rate dropped, then stopped completely. In the hospital's main conference room, Council Leader White, still weak from his own bout with the virus, addressed the assembled human medical teams. "You saved not just lives," he said, his voice rough with emotion, "but our entire understanding of survival. We thought being apex predators made us strong, but you showed us that true strength comes from facing countless challenges and learning from each one." Dr. Gray stepped forward. "On Earth, we have a saying, 'What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.' Every disease we survived made us better at fighting the next one. Every challenge we overcame taught us something new. And now you've shared that strength with us." White nodded. "The Federation owes you a debt we can never repay." "Actually," Gray smiled, "we have a suggestion about that. We'd like to establish joint medical research facilities. There's so much we could learn from each other." Stone, watching from the back of the room, felt a smile cross his predator's face. Once again, the humans were turning a crisis into an opportunity to grow stronger. Perhaps that, more than anything, was why they had survived their death world of origin. The virus that should have devastated the Federation had instead brought them something far more valuable. A lesson in how true strength is earned, not given. The pirate leader Black Claw stood on his ship's bridge, looking at the human colony world through the main screen. His feigned smile showed his confidence. The planet's atmosphere was toxic, its gravity crushing, and its temperature extreme. Surely any defenses would be minimal. "Leader," his second-in-command growled, "our scans show only light weapons around the main settlement. The colonists must be inside environmental domes. They'll be trapped." "Perfect." Black Claw purred, his clawed hand tightening on his weapon. "No one builds strong defenses on a death world. The environment does the defending for them." His fleet of 5 ships descended through the atmosphere, their advanced shields protecting them from the harsh conditions. They landed near the main colony, a collection of sturdy buildings surrounded by farm fields and mining equipment. "All hands, prepare for attack," Black Claw ordered. "Full environmental suits required. Remember, these are just human colonists. They'll surrender as soon as we breach there." The alarm cut him off. One of his crew shouted in surprise, "Leader, movement outside." But that's impossible. Nothing can survive in this atmosphere. On the screen, figures were emerging from the buildings. Human figures, walking calmly through the toxic air, wearing nothing but light clothing. No environmental suits, no breathing equipment. "How are they?" Black Claw started, but then the humans began to run. In the planet's crushing gravity, they ran straight toward the pirate ships. "Open fire," he ordered, panic creeping into his voice. His crews scrambled to their weapons, but their environmental suits made them slow, clumsy. The humans moved like they didn't even notice the gravity. The colony's defense officer, Cooper, led the charge. To the pirates' horror, their first shots missed. The humans were using the high gravity they'd adapted to, moving in ways the pirates' targeting systems didn't expect. Did they really think we'd be trapped? Cooper laughed over the colony's comm system. "We live here. This is our home." The pirates tried to retreat to their ships, but their suits' joints were struggling in the gravity. Meanwhile, the humans had reached their lines. The pirates' superior strength meant nothing when they could barely move, while the humans twisted and fought as if they were on their original world. Black Claw watched in disbelief as his crews were systematically disabled by creatures half their size. The humans weren't even killing them. They were carefully targeting the environmental suits' weak points, leaving the pirates helpless in the toxic atmosphere. "Fall back," he roared. "Return to the ships." "Too late," a calm voice said behind him. He spun to find a human standing on his bridge. A human who had somehow breached his ship while his crew was distracted. "How?" Black Claw gasped. "You made 3 mistakes," the human said, holding some kind of small device. "First, you thought we'd need environmental suits like you do. We don't. We live here." The device beeped, and Black Claw's ship's systems began to shut down. "Second," the human continued, "you thought high gravity would slow us down. But we've adapted. To us, this is normal." Through the ship's windows, Black Claw could see his crews surrendering, unable to fight effectively in their suits while the humans moved freely. And third, the human smiled. "You thought we were weak because we're small and don't have claws or fangs. But we grew strong by overcoming planets like this one. We don't need natural weapons. We learned to fight smart." Within an hour, the entire pirate fleet had been captured. Not a single human had been seriously injured. The pirates, originally confident in their superior strength and natural weapons, had been completely defeated by creatures they thought would be easy prey. As Federation ships arrived to collect the pirates, Captain Stone was among them. He looked at the human colonists with newfound respect. "You know," he said to Cooper, "I think the galaxy's pirates are about to learn a very important lesson about human colonies." Cooper nodded. "Yes. Deathworlds don't make us weak. They make us stronger." The Federation Council chamber was completely full. Representatives from every member species had gathered for this historic session. Council Leader White stood at the central podium, his massive form somehow looking less imposing than usual as he faced the assembled delegates. "We have called this emergency session," he began, "to discuss what we have learned about humans in recent months. Captain Stone, please present your findings." Stone stepped forward, activating his display screen. Images of human achievements filled the air. Colonies on deadly worlds, medical breakthroughs during the virus crisis, and footage from the recent pirate attack. "Honored Council," Stone said, "we have made a fundamental error in how we view strength in the galaxy. We thought being apex predators made us superior. We were wrong." Murmurs filled the chamber. Stone continued, showing new images of human children playing in what looked like rain of acid on their colony worlds. These humans don't just survive on death worlds, he explained. They actively seek them out. When we find a planet too hostile for settlement, they see it as a challenge. Where we need environmental suits, they adapt their bodies. Where we see danger, they see opportunity. Dr. Reed stepped forward next, adding his scientific findings to the presentation. Their bodies are constantly evolving. Each generation born on a high-gravity world grows stronger. Each new disease they face makes their immune systems more robust. They aren't just surviving. They're actively improving. The Council watched in silence as more data appeared. Graphs showed how human colonists on different worlds were developing distinct advantages based on their environments. Some were becoming stronger in high gravity, others more resistant to radiation, still others adapting to extreme temperatures. But most remarkable, Stone continued, is their approach to challenges. When they lack an ability, they don't wait for evolution. They create solutions. No claws? They build tools. Can't fly. They make machines. Can't breathe toxic air. They adjust their lung capacity or engineer new solutions. White raised his massive paw. Are you suggesting that being born without natural weapons actually helped them? Exactly, Stone nodded. Because they had to earn every advantage, they learned to adapt faster than evolution itself. Their weakness became their strength. The chamber erupted in discussion. Representatives debated among themselves their various predatory features, fangs, claws, armored scales, suddenly seeming less impressive compared to human adaptability. Dr. Gray, invited to observe the session, stood up to speak. If I may, she said, her small voice somehow carrying across the chamber, you're still thinking about this wrong. You see us as weak creatures who became strong. But adaptability itself is our strength. We're not successful despite lacking natural weapons. We're successful because we had to find better solutions. The room fell silent as her words sank in. White nodded slowly. You're saying that our natural advantages actually held us back. In a way, Gray smiled. When you have claws, every problem looks like something to slash. When you have to think about each challenge, you find creative solutions. Stone brought up his final images, pictures of human children learning to swim in acid oceans, practicing survival skills in crushing gravity, treating alien diseases with modified human antibodies. The galaxy is changing, he concluded. The old measures of strength, fangs, claws, natural armor, they're no longer enough. The humans have shown us that true strength lies in adaptability, in seeing death worlds as challenges to overcome rather than barriers to avoid. White stood again, his decision clear. Then we too must adapt. The Federation has led the galaxy through strength of arms. Perhaps now it's time to learn a new kind of strength. The council members nodded in agreement. They had always thought of themselves as the galaxy's apex predators. Now they realized that perhaps being an apex predator wasn't as advantageous as they'd thought. The humans, with their endless drive to adapt and overcome, had shown them a new path forward. The age of natural weapons was ending. The age of adaptation had begun. Ambassador Miller stood at the window of the newly constructed Federation Human Alliance headquarters, watching ships from both civilizations dock at the space station. The station itself was a testament to their cooperation, built in an environment that both species could inhabit comfortably, even if the Federation members still found the oxygen levels unnervingly high. Quite a view, isn't it? Captain Stone said, joining him at the window. The massive predator had gotten used to working closely with humans, though he still marveled at how such small creatures had changed the galaxy so dramatically. It is, Miller agreed. Did you see the latest reports from the joint colony projects? Stone nodded, his fur rippling with excitement. The Federation teams are learning to work without environmental suits on medium-gravity worlds. They said having humans around makes them want to push their own limits. The door slid open, and Dr. Gray entered with Council Leader White. They were carrying data pads showing the results of their latest joint ventures. The medical advances are extraordinary, Gray said, pulling up holographic displays. Federation immune systems are becoming more adaptable, while human strength is increasing. Both species are learning from each other. White rumbled in agreement, and the new exploration teams are finding worlds we never thought could be colonized. The Federation always avoided planets we considered too hostile. But with human insights, everything's a challenge to be overcome, not a barrier to avoid. Miller finished with a smile. That's always been the human way. The displays showed their joint achievements over the past year. New colonies on worlds once thought uninhabitable, medical breakthroughs combining human adaptability with Federation strength, and defense systems that used both species' unique advantages. There is one concern, Stone said carefully. Some of the older Federation members worry we're losing our identity. That working with humans is making us soft. Miller laughed. Soft. Your young people are exploring volcanic worlds without suits, diving in acid oceans, and learning to fight in crushing gravity. They're becoming stronger than ever. He's right, White added. My own cubs used to rely solely on their claws and strength. Now they're learning to think creatively, to adapt like humans do. They're not weaker, they have more options. Dr. Gray pulled up another display, showing the training programs they'd developed together. Young Federation members were learning alongside human children, each species teaching the other their unique strengths. This is the future, she said proudly. Not just surviving on death worlds, but thriving on them. Not just using natural weapons, but creating new solutions. Both our species are growing stronger together. A small alert sounded. The long-range explorers had found something new. A planet that made even Earth look gentle. Crushing gravity, toxic atmosphere, extreme temperatures, and constant electrical storms. Well, Miller said, reading the data, that looks like fun. Should we send a joint expedition? Stone's predatory features broke into what humans now recognized as a grin. The old Federation would have marked it as prohibited. Now, I bet we'll have volunteers from both species fighting for a chance to go. White looked at the human ambassador with newfound respect. You've taught us that strength isn't just about being born powerful. It's about choosing to become stronger, about seeing challenges as opportunities. And you've taught us that we don't have to do everything alone, Miller replied. Different kinds of strength, working together. That's what makes this alliance special. They turned back to the window, watching more ships arrive. Each one carried pioneers ready to push the boundaries of what was possible. Humans and Federation members working together, combining the relentless adaptability of one with the natural strength of the other. The galaxy had changed forever. The Deathworlders had discovered humans, and in doing so, they had discovered a new kind of strength within themselves. Together, they were ready to face whatever challenges the universe had to offer. After all, as humans like to say, the more hostile the environment, the stronger you become.